For a long time, digital assets were all about the wild headlines, right? The speculation, the crazy volatility, the hype. But you know what? That conversation has completely changed. It's moved from the fringes of finance right into the heart of the corporate boardroom. So, let's dive in and really unpack the strategic playbook that every C-suite leader needs to be thinking about right now.
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about this new strategic reality. Then, we'll get into the big dilemma that every executive is wrestling with. After that, we'll lay out a three-part framework and a real playbook for action. And finally, we'll wrap up with what this all means for you as a leader.
So, what's really driving this massive shift? Well, we're seeing huge institutions jumping in, regulators are finally starting to provide some real oversight, and the technology itself, it's starting to unlock some serious, real-world efficiencies. This is no longer a niche topic, it's officially a core concern for the C-suite.
This quote absolutely nails it. For anyone in a leadership role, CEOs, CFOs, heads of strategy, the debate about if this stuff matters is pretty much over. The real work, the hard work, is figuring out the how. How do you engage with this world intelligently and, most importantly, safely?
And that brings every leader to this critical crossroads, this fundamental conflict that really defines this moment. The big question is, do you jump in now, or do you hang back and wait on the sidelines?
And this lays out that dilemma perfectly. It's a classic catch-22. On one side, if you engage, you're looking at very real risks, market volatility, potential damage to your brand's reputation. But on the other side, if you do nothing, you're facing an existential threat, the risk of becoming strategically irrelevant as the world and your competitors move on without you. There is no easy out here.
So how on earth do you solve this puzzle? Well, the answer isn't about picking a side. It's about reframing the entire problem. The solution is a strategic framework that neatly aligns your digital asset strategy with three core business goals that you're already focused on. And here's the framework. It's a clear, logical path forward. You start with defense, right? Focus on reducing risk. Then you pivot to offense, using this technology to drive real transformation. And you do all of that while keeping one eye on the future, actively anticipating where the regulations are headed.
Okay, so let's get into the playbook itself and see how this framework turns into actual, actionable steps. This is where the rubber meets the road for each of those three pillars.
All right, Pillar 1, risk reduction. The goal here is simple, but it is so powerful. It's all about learning and innovating, but doing it with extreme discipline. This is about making smart, measured moves, not taking a speculative gamble. So how do you actually do that? Well, you start by focusing on things like stablecoins, which are designed to be less volatile because they're pegged to real-world currencies. You absolutely do not go it alone. You partner up with regulated custodians who can handle the security piece. And maybe most importantly, you manage your reputation by framing this not as a speculative bet, but as an infrastructure upgrade designed to make your business more efficient.
Now, once you've got that solid defensive strategy locked in, it's time to go on offense. This is all about seeing digital assets as more than just currencies. They are powerful tools that can transform your core business operations.
And a key concept to get your head around here is tokenization. This is a potential game changer. Think about it. Imagine trying to sell, say, 1% of a commercial skyscraper. It's almost impossible, right? Well, this technology allows you to turn that 1% stake into a digital token that can be traded almost as easily as a share of stock. It's about unlocking value from assets that have always been stuck.
So what does this actually let you do? Well, you can create entirely new markets for these traditionally illiquid assets. You can use stablecoins to make your treasury settlements way faster and cheaper. But the crucial point, the real takeaway here, is that you're not just chasing hype. You are integrating this powerful technology right into your core operations to make the whole business run better, faster, and smarter.
And that brings us to the final pillar, which tackles one of the biggest elephants in the room, regulation. The strategy here is to be proactive, not reactive. You can't just wait for perfect clarity to be handed down, because honestly, by the time that happens, it's probably going to be too late. Proactive leaders are the ones talking directly to regulators to understand where things are likely headed. They use what are called regulatory sandboxes, which are basically safe, government-approved spaces to test new ideas, to build credibility. And they build compliance into their projects from day one, not as an afterthought. You see, by doing this, they're not just lowering their own risk, they're actually helping to shape the future of the entire industry. So let's bring this all home. Let's zoom out. This isn't just some technical or financial puzzle to solve. deciding how to engage with digital assets today is, fundamentally, a question of leadership, of foresight, and of your long-term competitive advantage.
The best way to approach this is with a deliberate, controlled process. It's a phased, board-guided journey. You start by learning. Then, you run small, contained pilot projects. And based on what you learn from those pilots, you make a conscious, data-driven decision. Do we scale this up, or do we shut it down? Every single step is designed to reduce uncertainty and help you make smarter decisions.
At the end of the day, this quote says it all. How a company navigates this new world isn't really a test of its tech savviness. It's a direct reflection of its strategic discipline, its foresight, and its ability to execute with control and precision. So the bottom line is pretty clear. Sitting on the sidelines is no longer a viable option. The companies that act now with a clear, disciplined strategy are the ones who are going to define the future. This isn't just another tech trend. This is a live test of leadership. And so the real question for you isn't if you'll engage, but how your leadership is going to rise to this challenge and define the next chapter of your company's competitiveness.